Morning, everybody. How are we all doing? Sam here, United People's TV. It's Friday. We should be getting vibey, but yeah, I don't think it's going to be a particularly vibey show. It's not really a particularly vibey club this season. Let's be completely honest. Let's move that in the middle. That's a little bit better. How are we all doing? I think I know how you're doing. Man United playing tomorrow against Fulham. We'll speak about the game a little bit later in the show, but there's no avoiding what's going on. Well, what has gone on in the last 24 hours. I did an extra live last night off the back of an article from Matt Lawson in the Times saying that Manchester United were looking or considering alternatives to Erik Ten Hag, with Ruben Amorim from Sporting Lisbon named and Zinedine Zidane. This morning, I'm going to run through all the leaks, because after that show, there was more leaks that came from the Telegraph, from Mike McGrath, from Tom Morgan, who's been leading with the takeover story from the Telegraph's perspective. And there's just a ton for us to get through. Negative vibes are still vibes. That's one way of putting it. I'll try and make it a vibey show. It is Friday, so we're going to get the map out. But who's joining here from the member gang? Let's have a look. Brian, good morning to you. Amage and Mike, Gurminda and Klein. Saeed, I can see you there. Sorin, Nick and Haley. Good morning to you, Haley. Gangshi, how you doing, man? As always, the Godfather. James, you're there. We've got Andrew, you're there. Good morning to you. Lone Wolf, got DJ Dino, who's on Facebook. Edred, good morning to you as always. Debbie, good morning to you. We've got Bammy, Citizen. We've got one more, Troy Best and Teo Feet. Good morning to all of you. Look at that, Odie, gifting one membership. What a don. Nice way to start the show. I'll tell you what's an even better way to start the show is it's been a little while, but let me drop the link down there. We got a new episode of the podcast done last night. Me, Bao, and Chris making his debut. Big up to Chris. Well, we talked through everything. Yeah, it's frustrating. It's I mentioned it on the pod with Bao because all three of us went to the cup final against Newcastle, and it's like, isn't it mad where we are now from where we were then? From the optimism that everybody had after that cup final. I was like, I'm so glad I got to have that day with all my mates and going there to the cup final, seeing United win, seeing Ten Hag win. But basically, if you look at Ten Hag's reign at Manchester United, there's two different versions of it. One in the build-up to that final, one post that final. And kind of everything that's happened post that final has been a downward slope, and it is gathering pace at this moment in time. So if you'd like to listen to the podcast, it's a different type of content. It's an old school podcast, audio only. Just me and a couple of mates. It's I enjoy doing the podcast because it's very different to these sort of live shows. Now, yesterday lunchtime, my video was just me kind of making my opinion very clear on what I think should be going on with Erik Ten Hag. And I'm so sick and tired of the repeated cycle at Manchester United that I'm willing to just keep going down this path that we are going down, and until we've got Ineos in, until they can make the decision from a sporting perspective as part of a long-term strategy and vision. If at that point the decision is that Erik Ten Hag isn't suited to the club, then I'm going to have to trust that new structure, the footballing board and structure, that is the case. But as it stands now, I think the concept of just sacking Erik Ten Hag and giving the reins to Joel Glazer, Richard Arnold, John Murtough, it's not laughable. It's just pure madness. It's pure insanity. So as it stands, I'm absolutely supporting Erik Ten Hag. And we've reached a point now, again, when it's like fans have to decide whether you're standing in the corner of players and supporting their frustrations, or you're standing in the corner of the manager. And it's like, my God, we've got that civil war all over again. I didn't think we were going to have that conversation on the Ten Hag, but lo and behold, we have. I wish I had some whiskey in this. I need water. I'm sure it's 12 o'clock somewhere, so it's not 12 o'clock in the UK. Oh, man, look at that, man. Yeah, man, I keep saying it every single day. This community is the one. It really is. And at times like this, when it's easy enough to be a good community when you're flying high, right? But when times are tough and everyone's still doing that, dropping in gifting memberships, 5 from Alex, 5 from Gangshi, and 5 from Anthony. Welcome to the United People's TV community. That's what it's all about. A genuine community. Love this. Anyway, I don't love what's going on with Manchester United right now. At some point, I think I said this last week, or was it this week? At some point, we're all going to be here when United are flying high again. I just don't know whether I'm going to be 47 when that happens. I'm laughing because it's not funny. Look, we spoke about this yesterday. This was the article that I went live yesterday evening to discuss with you. Charlotte Duncan and Matt Lawton saying that Erik Ten Hag is on thin ice. And it was in this article where the suggestions for Ruben Amorim were thrown out and Zinedine Zidane. Now, following on from that, you've got Fabrizio Romano saying, no, the total opposite. And what I would say is that everything that happened in the press yesterday, there was an explosion of stories from every paper, from the Times, from Manchester Evening News, from the Telegraph, from the Athletic, all different angles, and some of them in complete disagreement with each other. And that we've reached that point now. Different sources saying different things, but Fabrizio Romano, his sources from the club, look, guarantee stories are categorically false. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is run through what's being published by the Athletic this morning on the future of Erik Ten Hag and what they're hearing. All right, let's go and let's read through this. Despite United suffering their worst start in 61 years, changing a manager is not seen as the solution, and Ten Hag's position is not under threat. There is an awareness within the club that performances and results have to improve, but there is a belief that United's predicament shows how quickly things can change in football. We know that. Ten Hag has been reluctant to seek excuses. We go down here. What else is being said? Others at Old Trafford, we know, well, the turbulence off the pitch. Don't even talk to me about that. There is no plan to dismiss Erik Ten Hag at present, but neither is there universal confidence in his ability among those with connections to United. Some feel that after spending the majority of the past 2 decades coaching in the Netherlands, he has not fully adapted to the demands of the Premier League, which is a bit of a random thing to say. That surely was the case before he became manager. I don't know. Others consider Ten Hag to be a good coach, but the wrong personality for the situation United find themselves in. Again, I don't really understand that bit. What I'm going to do in a second here, right, is run through all the leaks that have come out. Spoiler alert, my lunchtime video is going to be on these leaks. And it's just like, oh, well, I think you already know what I think about them. But you've got, what do you make of all of this? You've got the Times saying Ten Hag's on thin ice. You've got Fabrizio Romano saying, well, no, actually, he's completely fine. You've got the Athletic saying, no, at this time, there is no plans on replacing Ten Hag, nor is there universal support. And I can understand that bit. There's part of me which feels that Ten Hag is on a slope that he can't recover from. There is part of me that thinks that. There's a small part. It's that niggle at the back of your mind. Nobody's going to be looking at Ten Hag at this point in time and going, yeah, he's completely. I've got no doubts. Jordan, you're saying, Sam, can we have a call-in? The call-ins are going to be happening. I don't know. I apologize about this again. When the new software comes in. I've got something important to tell you on Monday next week, which will change things a little bit for a couple of weeks here on the channel. I'll tell you that on Monday. But I really want to do the call-ins. I've been planning on doing the call-ins for a while. Paul, I can see you've been a member for 24 months. How awesome is that? Anthony, you've been a member 15 months, saying so sick about players leaking and throwing the managers under the bus. And this was an argument that I had, that I will have with anybody, about anybody that just goes, oh yeah, sacking Ten Hag, that's going to be a solution. Right, great. Are there viable options to replace him? We run through this list. So the Athletic saying, look, and you know how mad this is? Like, reading this paragraph will just make you angry. United do not have a fixed plan in place on who they would target if he did leave. Unlike a club such as Brighton, who make forward planning for managerial departures as a key part of their strategy, United have not made an assessment of the market. So, if you want the definition of a lack of long-term planning, there you go. Manchester United haven't even considered what could happen post Ten Hag. Whereas in reality, if our club had a long-term, a 5-year plan, we would absolutely know where we were headed towards next, then we would probably have a little bit of a short list. It might maybe a long list, 5 to 10 managers. We think probably these managers here are going to be good to follow on from Ten Hag, and that would happen at a club that has a long-term strategy, that has a genuine director of football, that really has a grip of that vision, which Manchester United do not have. There can be no questions anymore, I don't think, about whether John Murtough has been a success or not. I think the fact that we find ourselves in this situation, yeah, he's failed. He's definitely failed in his role as, I think is he football director? I don't even know what his exact job title is at Manchester United, but he's certainly in charge of the footballing operations on a day-to-day basis. He's got Andy O'Boyle working underneath him, but yeah. Robert, you're saying, Sam, the day you hire a manager is the day you start looking for a replacement. But that is long-term planning. Manchester United are like a hand-to-mouth club. Day-to-day basis, like working from wage packet to wage packet. Not being able to look past the end of the month for any sort of plan. And then finding themselves surprised and in a rush when things happen. Oh, crap, we need a new manager. Oh, I don't know. Who's top of the league in France? Okay, he's pretty good. What's this? Who's this Ruben Amorim bloke? Oh, yeah, that's nice. Ruben Amorim, by the way. He's another exciting coach that's part of the crop coming through. A little bit like Erik Ten Hag was before he came to Manchester United. Now, I'm not saying tactically they're the same, because they're not tactically the same. But that's what I would say when I'm looking at that. But what's that? Yeah. Someone talk to me. Someone, I don't know. I'm gonna go on to speak about the player leaks next, because I saw the article yesterday from Samuel Luckhurst, and I just dismissed it. But when it comes to, you've got Samuel Luckhurst in the Manchester Evening News. You've got the Telegraph with Mike McGrath and Tom Morgan. And you've also got the Athletic, all corroborating quite similar stories. So you've reached the point there where there's no smoke without fire, which is exactly what Bao said in the podcast. Let me see what you're saying down here in the comments. Maybe Erik wants to go back to Ajax. They won yesterday. I think they're 15th now on the table. Congrats to them. I worked in HR, says Peter. Part of my role was succession planning. Right, United can't succession plan. They can't plan for success in the current manager. Planning is a foreign concept at Manchester United. That's what it still feels like. It feels like there's so much going on. Like the daily in tray at Manchester United is so full that nobody seems to have any time to go, well, where do we want to be in 6 months? What about a year? What about 3 years? It's just not possible. There's too much stuff going on at the club on a day-to-day basis. It's kind of what it feels like anyway. Someone must know who the leaks are. They need to be named and shamed. Chris, it's not how it works, really. Everyone's going to have their suspicions and their accusations, and I won't be naming names, all right? That would be that's just wrong, because there is no evidence as to who they are. I know you can have your suspicions and you can connect the dots and you can do your own detective work. I know there are players that you would consider more likely to be the leak, but we can't just go around associating leaks with players because we want to. So I won't do that. I will just speak to them about them as a whole. A super chat there from Jibak. How you doing, man? Thank you very much. What are you saying? Don't get this notion of players throwing Erik Ten Hag under the bus or leaking info. Ten Hag got 14 signings, practically half a new team. Why are players he handpicked for United throwing him under the bus? Well, that's you making assumptions as to who is leaking to the press. Because there's going to be players where you definitely know it's not going to be Onana. You definitely know it's not going to be Anthony. There's certain players where you can unequivocally say it's not them. And you're saying, I don't see the point. Ten Hag is the easy target, but everything at the club is fundamentally wrong. This is what we're witnessing here again, is how modern football is built. Again, Chelsea are a massive reason why this exists in the modern game, in my opinion, anyway. Chelsea, nobody had a business model like Chelsea at all. Sacking managers even after they've won things, replacing them immediately, investing hundreds of millions every single season. And the expectations from fans of other clubs are like, well, Chelsea can do it. Why can't we do it? And that happens a lot. People look at what's happening at another club and go, well, that's not happening at my club. I'm pissed off. It's like when when girls, I don't know, like girls are seeing their friends getting married, and then they're like, then they look at their relationship and go, why am I not getting married? They get married. What about me? And other what's going on elsewhere affects what's going on in internally. You know what I think about Ten Hag. You know full well that he absolutely deserves criticism. There's quite a lot that's happening right now, which is self-inflicted. Over these last few weeks, certainly, Ten Hag has made some real odd decisions. And this is a man who I think has made so many good decisions previously. So it kind of jars. Now, what I'm going to do now is speak through these dressing room leaks that are coming out in order. All right. And this is by the way, this is the same squad. The same squad that loved Erik Ten Hag's intensity last season. It was hailed as a massive plus. The discipline was back in the squad. And now all of a sudden, when things aren't going well, actually, Samuel Luckhurst leading yesterday morning saying some Manchester United players are starting to doubt Erik Ten Hag. And then this came out yesterday from, as I said, The Telegraph, from John Percy, Mike McGrath, and Tom Morgan. And then I'm also going to run through what The Athletic is saying on this. Let me run through this article, okay? Manchester United players are questioning Erik Ten Hag's strict methods in his handling of Jadon Sancho and Harry Maguire. It is understood that a number of players in Ten Hag's squad privately have not agreed with his hard-line stance on his own players. So privately that we're having a conversation about it this morning. That's a really weird definition of private, I'll be honest. The development came on Thursday, as United formally denied on Thursday that they were already lining up a replacement for Erik Ten Hag. So Jadon Sancho and Maguire. Those are the two players being named here. And look, I've got to be completely honest here. Two things. Number one, I can understand if there are players that disagree with Erik Ten Hag's handling of Jadon Sancho. I'm not one of them, but I can understand that point of view. I might disagree with it, but I can understand it. Harry Maguire, however, somebody please help me, because I said this on the podcast yesterday, or I said it off air. What has Erik Ten Hag done wrong with Harry Maguire that he can feel aggrieved for? That players inside that squad can feel aggrieved for? Somebody please tell me. Because Erik Ten Hag stripped Maguire after a season of underperforming. He then tried to sell him. It then didn't happen, and we know why it didn't happen. He was then left out of the squad, and he came back into the squad. He performed, and then he started. He started at what? He started 3 games in a row? Started 2 Premier League games in a row? I'm dead confused as to how there can be anybody who's offended by how Ten Hag has treated Harry Maguire. I'm baffled on this one. I want to see what you're saying. Took the armband off him and demoted him to 5th choice centre back. Yes, which was absolutely the correct thing to do, based on form, based on performances, based on other players available. Yep. I mean, you've not said anything that is done wrong there. That's a weird one. All right, so that's what the Telegraph are saying. So now let's run through what the Athletic are saying on this. There's more detail in this one, all right? The club's hierarchy may be sticking with Ten Hag, but there is a growing feeling of unrest within the squad, with some players beginning to lose faith in him. Ten Hag's intensity, which was widely lauded as a positive last season, is now being viewed as a problem, as there are doubts as to whether he will change his approach to try and arrest the alarming run of performances. The comment about wanting to play more football after the win did not go down well in the dressing room, and neither did Ten Hag's decision to leave Varane out of the 11 to face City. Some of this just kind of, you do like a little double take. Players getting upset because Ten Hag said he wanted to play more football after the game and took Casemiro off at half time. He was garbage. He was awful. Man United were awful. Man United did need to play more football. And Man United did play more football when he made a substitution. How can you get offended by that? Seriously. It's like, you know how some people like look for offense? That feels like looking for an offense. The Varane one is I don't really know about this one, because I said at the time, straight after, I was like, I would love to know what the tactical reason is for why Evans started ahead of Maguire. The only thing that I could think of was that Evans was probably more naturally suited to playing on the left-hand side as a centre-back. That's the only thing I had. And then Varane was missing from the game against Newcastle, and they labelled it as illness. And now there's suggested this. The players are upset because he said, I wanted to play more football and made a substitution, and we were playing more football. There's more to this as well. Let's go down here. His handling of Sancho in September. Some in the dressing room feel that could have been handled differently. Harry Maguire was said to be bruised by the efforts to get rid of him this summer. The Athletic has been told that Ten Hag is not on close terms with many of United's players, and a perceived lack of charisma on his part has been frequently cited. If there's any like Dutch viewers in the comments here, again, every time I've ever perceived Ten Hag, it feels like a cultural thing more than anything else. I don't know whether it might come across on here. I don't know if it does. I'm known as somebody who's people that don't know me, a lot of them consider me quite rude because I can't be asked for small. I'm so bad at small talk. Like, I'm just horrendous at small talk. And if you want to have a conversation with me about something proper, then a bit like how we chat here in the comments. But some people who don't know me look at me and go, "Oh, he's a little bit rude, isn't he?" It's just, no, I can't be asked with bullshit. I've got no time for it. And it feels like Ten Hag is in that exact same category. And these are all the same things that the players were praising Ten Hag for, that Ten Hag was being praised for last season. And spoiler alert here, people, it worked. Man United played some of the best football we've played post Sir Alex. There wasn't too much of it, I'll be honest. It was fleeting performances, but when they were there, they were there. We won the League Cup, our first trophy in 6 years. And in that January-February period, that was probably the most dominant period of football that we've had for a long old time. Something left that dressing room after we won that League Cup. We all wanted that League Cup to be the platform to bigger and better, but it almost felt like, for some of those players at least, that platform, that cup was, completed it, mate. Won the League Cup with United, that'll do. And instead of it being something that brought these players upwards, like a little bit of the energy's left. I'm going to go down here and see what you're saying in the comments. Sam, you know yourself, so you know how Erik is. He's really described him when described. United need that sort of presence at the top, man. With everything. If Manchester United had a more harmonious environment behind the scenes, for example, if Manchester United had, when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was manager, if we had Paul Mitchell in there, we had Jean-Claude Blanc, we had an actual footballing structure, then Solskjaer's approach, I think it would have been significantly more effective. Because the day-to-day dirty tasks and roles, they wouldn't really have been Solskjaer's to control. And with Erik Ten Hag, I I feel deep down that if he was just head coach at Manchester United and he was nothing else apart from the head coach, I think he could take this team to do great things. But because he's in control of every single decision on and off the pitch and heavily involved in the transfers, there's just too much going on. And the idea now that we're questioning his personality, when that was one of the defining reasons why so many were happy with him at the start, and so many players were happy with him at the start. So those same things that they were happy with are now problems when shit hits the fan, which defines this Manchester United team. It's why our record away from home is so garbage. It's why I can't even have mega confidence about us going to Copenhagen. It's quite a close stadium. It will be loud. They went ahead against Bayern Munich, and Bayern Munich came from behind and beat them. I don't think Man United will do that. Let me see what else you're saying down here in the comments. It's always these players that blame anybody. I'm done with it. I'm going to do a video later today, right? Although we're playing Fulham as well, and Fulham's a 12:30 kickoff, so I don't really have time to do 2 videos today. I don't know. I'll figure out what I'm doing, but this is nothing new. All right. I don't know how many times I have to say this. I'm pig sick of it. Whether it's Ragnick, whether it's Solskjaer, whether it's Mourinho, or whether it's Erik Ten Hag, or whether it's Van Gaal. The same thing happens when you reach this point. It's absolutely just repeated itself. And now Ten Hag is falling victim to the same thing. And all of a sudden, things that were seen as positives are now seen as negatives. Now, when it comes to the intensity of Erik Ten Hag's management, his training and his style, I absolutely do think that's contributed to the perceived lack of energy that we have in games. Now, there's a few mitigating circumstances that have been out of his control. All right, 3 of them that I can think of off the top of my head. Number 1, how many games we played last season? Was it like 62? I think we had the most games out of anybody, and we had quite a thin squad. And Ten Hag didn't really like to rotate much because he didn't trust his other 11. Therefore, that's why we blew out towards the end of the season. We played a lot of games last season. That's a mitigating circumstance. That was because we were successful when we were in the competitions. Number 2, Manchester United embarked on, if I'm correct, I think we got over 20, was it like 20,000 air miles? We've played 8 games across 2 continents over the space of 2 and a bit weeks. And players were complaining about there being a lack of downtime in the preseason. That was not Ten Hag's decision. Just as is the case in modern football and the modernization of football, you know what is best for a preseason? Every single Manchester United player going to Carrington 4 weeks before the season starts and not having to leave. Maybe you go and you do local games. We'll have a little game against Liverpool. We'll have a game against Blackburn, game against Burnley, local games. That would be the preseason, which helps Manchester United get ready. Instead, because of COVID and everything, if I remember correctly, it was Man United's first preseason tour abroad, and they go and they sell the brand. Or was it they happened the season before as well? Because I think Ronaldo didn't go on it. Is that right? I think I'm right. The second one. But they're money spinners. They're brand growers. And that's what preseason is all about now. It's not about getting your team ready for the season. It's about, how can I make Manchester United gain another 2 million fans in America? That's all they care about. That didn't help. And number 3, the injuries. I mean, you could say that the injuries themselves are part and parcel of it, and he's part of the problem there with his intensity. But the Martinez one, I was going to mention it a bit later. I think it's quite startling how big an impact one injury can have on your team. Now, I know Luke Shaw's injury has hurt us badly, right? But Martinez's injury is the one that has crucified us. We have just been garbage defensively all season long. And people are going down. Last season, the man crush I had on Martinez, and it's only got stronger because of how I'm looking at. He might not. Sod knows what Martinez is going to be coming back to, because it won't be the United that he left. I mean, look, he was playing this season and we were losing, yeah, but he was nowhere near his full capacity. You could see that the aggression wasn't there from him. But if you think that I'm going to support the players who are now questioning, there's Ten Hag, right, has got to figure out a way to adapt better than he has. That there is on Erik Ten Hag. And with everything that's being said in all the press now, there's clearly, as I said, we can run through all these articles again and again and again. We don't need to run through them all now. But there's clearly some fractures in that dressing room. And what I want to see, I'm going to go down. Here's a couple of super chats there, but I want to, this here from Scott McTominay. Actions speak louder than words, Scott. But when it comes to what I want Erik Ten Hag to be saying to the dressing room, it is exactly that from Scott McTominay. Shut out all the noise. Close the door. Because that is all the media is trying to do. They are not trying to help Erik Ten Hag. They are not trying to help any of those players in any way, shape, or form. They want to see Manchester United fall, and they will just stick the knife in, death by 1,000 cuts. And that's what Ten Hag has got. I called it the United against the world mentality. It's going to be hard in a dressing room if Ten Hag doesn't have 100% belief and support in there anymore. And it's going to be really interesting to see who starts on Saturday. I guarantee you Scott McTominay starts. Guaranteed. This is going to be one of those games, when managers are sort of struggling and they try to get their result. That's when they put in the players that they have the faith in the most that they're going to put in a performance. Scott McTominay will start. Nick, you sent a super chat there. Let me read this one out. Thank you, dude. What are you saying? Saying, as a Dutchie, you are 100% correct. We tend to be very direct and honest in our communication. It can often get tense with other cultures as it's perceived as rude or harsh. It's a cultural mismatch. Well, if you're talking about the culture of Manchester United, boy, there is no culture there. And I personally, this is all down to personal opinion, all right, and personal preference. But I would much rather somebody I work with, somebody who's my boss, be direct with me. Don't beat around the bush with me. Don't just brush around the topics and not try and solve what the problem is. That's a personal preference of how I would like to be managed. And yeah, there's going to be times where I disagree. But I hope that Ten Hag can find that. Everyone has to come together and fight like dogs. Fulham away is not going to be easy at all. Chris, look at that, man. Chris, I can see you down there this morning. You absolute ledge. Really nice, engaging comments from you. And you gifted 10 memberships as well. What a member. Big up to you, my friend. Anthony, these guys want to be pampered. I don't know. I don't know what these players want now. Because we have gone through every single type of manager. Fergie's Fergie's replacement, he got that wrong. Van Gaal, the experienced man. Mourinho, the serial winner. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the arm around your shoulder. Look how much he loves United. United way manager. Ralph Rangnick, interim. Ten Hag, up-and-coming, modern coach, part of the new generation coming through. Every single different type of manager. Every single different type of manager who the players have been unhappy with. Who the players disagree with their methods. You have to look at the common denominators here. And there's two. Glazers and players. Jason, comment down there. You can disagree with your boss all you like, but you don't stop working. You can if you want, but you'll get sacked. You'll get booted out and replaced. And that's what I'd love to see. It's not a case of, restart again. Ten Hag has made some big old mistakes. Some that he shouldn't have been allowed to make. All right? And that's with transfers. Yeah, Ten Hag has made some big errors by looking out for players that he thinks are the best, but they're not just the best. They're the only ones that Ten Hag knows. But he should never have been in the position where he can do that. Now, you could say, Sam, hold on here. The reason he didn't want to work with Ralph Rangnick is because he wanted more control. So Ten Hag is part of the problem. And I would say yes. And I would take another step back and say, yeah, but Ten Hag shouldn't have been allowed to say that. We should have the footballer structure in place before Ten Hag came in. So he can't just say, I want control. No, well, sod that, mate. You come in, you will be the head coach of Manchester United. We will work together as a head coach, as a CEO, as a director of football. And together we will agree on the vision. And you will tell us how you want to play your football, exactly how you want to play your football. And we will go out and do all the hard work and find you players to perfectly fit your system. And all you need to do is focus on the training ground. How does that sound? Sounds pretty good, to be fair. Makes my job easier. I can now trust you. You can have the responsibility. That's exactly what it should be. Lo and behold, it's not that. And nobody's innocent here. Nobody's innocent. And Ten Hag's made some big old errors. But if you think that I just want Ten Hag to get replaced and brought in, and then the players win again, and that we get another honeymoon period again until it doesn't work again, no, man. I want us to stick to the path we are on. See through it. Don't jump ship at the first hurdle. Because this is the first hurdle. Ten Hag's had some wobbles before. He had a wobble after 2 games. I don't remember the other wobbles. There was like 2, maybe 3 times last season, potentially, where people were like, oh, I'm not sure what's going on here. And then we got some results in. This one here is a completely different level of wobble. This is certainly the lowest it's been for Erik Ten Hag. Bully, man. Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy. 5 gifted memberships. Abhinav, Erik Ten Hag outlined the need for director of football in May. The thing, what he wanted, control, and no director of football is categorically false. Well, Ralph Rangnick Ten Hag didn't want to work with Ralph Rangnick. And as I said, I think if Ralph hadn't have been Manchester United manager before, then maybe he could have got that job. But I don't think he wanted to work with him after that. Right. Let's see what he's saying down here. Look, let's quickly talk about the game at the weekend. And I'm just going to pull up this stat, which honestly, this will make you cry. This will just make you cry. I mean, where are the goals coming from on Saturday? You're looking at this, right? And you're thinking, if United can pull out a victory against Fulham, we're going to have to do it 1-0. Because there ain't no way we're scoring more than 1. And if we're scoring 1, that's all we've scored. And then you're thinking, well, how the hell is that defense going to keep a clean sheet? And you're like, well, it's probably not. It's staggering. And that right there, you can blame Erik Ten Hag all you want, but that has got sweet FA to do with Ten Hag. Just the finishing has just been, my God, painful. Painful. Lots of goals from Casemiro. Who else has scored? Don't know. Not forwards. My God. Maguire came up against Copenhagen. McTominay against Sheffield United and Delo. So that's 2. That's a midfielder and a defender. Brentford, it was 2 from McTominay. So that's no goals there. McTominay's got what? 3 goals? God knows. 3 times as many goals as all of our forwards together. Guys, it's bad. It is bad. What's your prediction for the game of the weekend? Genuine prediction. What do you think? Here we go. My God. Are people still trying to get some sort of rise out of me for Ronaldo? My God. Ronaldo was a problem. I don't regret saying anything about that. Right, let's see what you're saying, Dan. Andrew, take that graph down. Sorry, mate. I'll take it down. Shocking behavior from me, really. When's the next time we're going to see that bad boy? Probably never. No, we will. That's a lie. 3-0 Hoyland hat-trick. Honestly, Anders, you've really got to stop drinking this early in the morning. It's a problem for you now. It's a problem. 2-1 United last-minute winner. Was it last? It was last season, wasn't it? Garnacho. Last-minute winner away at Fulham. I think it was. And then we went onto no, that was wasn't it after that where Ronaldo did that fucking interview with Piers Morgan? And then all of a sudden nobody was speaking about that. That pissed me off no end. That really annoyed me. Paula 2-1, 2-0 Fulham. 2-1 Fulham. There's a lot of people that are just not feeling positive. Not feeling positive about United. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Judging by how many goals we scored, if we're going to win this game, it's going to have to be a 1-0. But am I really going to trust that Manchester United's defence keeps a clean sheet? Am I sod? Phew. Tough. Tough, tough, tough. I tell you what, we're not finishing the show this week without bringing up this bad boy. Yes, it's Map Day. Come on, man. Let's finish on a positive note. We're all United fans. We'll all be here in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. A lot of these players won't be. Hell, Erik Ten Hag might not be, but we'll still be United fans. It's brutal. I keep saying it. I feel sorry for anybody who's at school as a United fan. When I was at school, nobody could win an argument against me when talking about football. If you're a United fan now at school, you are getting slapped upside the head. You can't win any arguments. You are the butt of all the jokes. It's bad, isn't it? Let me know where you're watching from, all right? All around the world. What country and what town in that country. We've got 525 pins on here. That's 525 places that I've got to go and visit. That'll be fun. Nicholas watching from Kolding in Denmark. Is it Kolding? Whee. Sorry. I should probably leave after that. Kolding in Denmark. Awesome. On you go, sir. Right, let's get a couple more here. We've got Gary watching from Baldivis in Western Australia, mate. Sorry. I can't help it. Baldivis in Rockingham. All right. Let's go on there. Let's bring up another one. Magai watching in Tokyo. We definitely got Tokyo on the map already. Mihai watching in Bucharest in Romania. Sambu watching in Toronto, Canada. We've definitely got all these in the map. I'm going to say them out now anyway. Durban in South Africa. We've definitely got on there. Miami, Florida. Pretty sure we got that on there. Yeah, I can see some maps. I can see some pins in Florida. Let's get one more on here. Mike watching from Newcastle. I think we got that one. And Bjorn watching. This is a Sadness. I thought he said Sadness. Remember that Enigma tune, Sadness, with the monks that sing. I'll put that on after. It's a banger. Absolute banger. Look, I would say that was a good week here on the channel, but I'd be lying through my teeth. Monday was the post-City trauma centre. Thursday was the post-Newcastle trauma centre. Thursday evening was the story from the Times. And now Friday morning here, been all about the leaks. Where's the Norwegian accent? I'm not going to obliterate a Norwegian accent. Hell no. That's where I draw the line. But look, thank you all for tuning in. I will be here. I'll be here definitely for the match reaction tomorrow. If there's something worthy of us having a discussion about in the morning, I'll do it live. And there. Come on, Erik. Find a way to get a result here. Lose against Fulham. And it's going to become a tsunami against him. All right. Big up to all of you. Have a cracking weekend. Barry!
We're going to do it anyway. We're going to do it anyway. We're going to do it anyway. We're going to do it anyway.